Construction Ministry has transferred 5 million shekel from the public housing budget and other funds in order to finance security for Jewish enclaves in East Jerusalem. The ministry noted the move was ordered by the Finance Ministry, which said social welfare needs were not harmed by the transfer of funds. Security for the Jewish enclaves in Arab neighborhoods of East Jerusalem has been improved since the early 1990s by the Housing Ministry, which maintains a large and expensive security force for this purpose under police supervision. The security force budget has grown substantially over the past 20 years as Jewish residents have spread in the eastern part of the city and as violence in response to the Jewish presence has intensified. The full amount spent in 2011 on the enclave security was 81 million shekel. For the past few days, Algerian police forces have confiscated Israeli-made women's clothing items from a number of stores in a shopping center in the Al Wadi district. According to an Algerian newspaper, the vendors told police officers that the man who sold them the clothes was a resident of the capital, Algiers. Officers arrived at the shopping center the day after New Year's after receiving information according to which vendors were selling clothing items with Made in Israel labels on them. Al-Kabar said they were instructed by the Attorney General to confiscate the clothing items and interrogate the vendors who denied knowledge of the product's origins. The alleged salesman from Algiers has been arrested. According to figures released Wednesday by the Israel Export and International Cooperation Institute, Israeli exports totaled $89 billion in 2011, a 4.5% increase compared to 2010. This data does not include the exports of startup companies and acquisitions of Israeli startups by foreign companies. These are impressive figures considering the economic slowdown experienced by most of the world last year, but disappointing in comparison to the Israeli industry's achievements in previous years. It should be noted that most of the increase in exports last year stems from the growth in the export of services supplied by Israeli companies abroad and in the export of diamonds. Israel and the Palestinian Authority have launched a unique joint ecological venture, a first-of-its-kind eco-park. The park will be the product of a collaboration between the West Bank city of Jenin and the Gilboa Regional Council, which have joined forces to rehabilitate the Kishon River. The Kishon River is a 70-kilometer-long perennial stream flowing down from the Gilboa Mountains. It's considered to be one of the most polluted rivers in Israel and has been the subject of controversy regarding the struggle to improve the water quality. Israeli and Palestinian teams headed by Gilboa Council head Daniel Attar and Jenin Governor Musa Kadora have already begun work on the future Kishon Eco Park. The initiative stemmed from the two communities' recognition of joint environmental problems and, should it prove successful, stands to be the first in a series of joint Israeli-Palestinian environmental ventures. 7 of the foreign ambassadors serving in Israel all speak Hebrew, which seems to help them create better ties with their Israeli colleagues during their service here. The first on the list is British Ambassador Matthew Gould, U.S. Ambassador Dan Shapiro, El Salvador's Ambassador to Israel Susanna Hassanson, Bosnian Ambassador Ivana Levy, Dominican Republic Ambassador Alexander De La Rosa, Denmark's Ambassador Lisolette Plesner, and last but not least is new Japanese Ambassador Hideo Sato. Some 50 ambassadors and diplomats arrived at a meeting held recently, took off their ties and jackets, and began battling with Hebrew.